What's going on, everybody? Good evening. You might be here expecting the Pro Football Focus video for the defense. That video will be coming in a couple of hours. I'm going to be posting that around 8 o'clock. Obviously, I was expecting to be posting the PFF videos back to back, but I feel like when there's news in the NFL that in some way materially affects the Seahawks, it's a little more important to get to that, and then you can kind of push back the more generalized videos to later times, and it's not that big of a deal. Like, you want to get on this, right? Because this is an active situation that is happening or has just happened. So we're going to talk about what's going on with these division rivals for a couple minutes here. We're going to talk about what's going on with mostly the Los Angeles Rams, although we will get to the Niners in a second here. But yeah, we got to talk about this because I already made one video about the Rams situation last week, and we got to do it again because things have gotten much worse. Not only did the Rams get completely plastered this week against the Cardinals, so they're now 0-1 in the division and 0-2 overall, but they got beat up again. And I'm going to say it again. It was just a couple of years ago that the Rams had a season where they had a bunch of injuries and ended up with a terrible year. They were one of the worst teams in football in 2022. So it's not like they're impervious to losing players. It's not like they can just survive an endless amount of injuries to their top players. So let's talk about the latest news. Before we get into this, though, I hope you like this video. If you do, please click the thumbs up button down below. Helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe if you're new and you want daily Seahawks and Seahawks adjacent content. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support the channel. So this is the big one, right? On screen right here, this is the big one. McVay has announced that Cooper Kupp is going to miss a significant amount of time, per many sources, a significant amount of time that might be 4 games or more, because they've already said he may go on IR. They're going to make that determination presumably later this week. Hasn't happened yet, but you can bet that he's going to miss a fairly significant number of games. And it might get to the point where by the time he's able to come back, the Rams season is already basically over. So Cooper Kupp, one of their best remaining players, and also he looks like Logan Paul, which I never really realized before, kind of. I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing things, but he actually kind of looks like Logan Paul. Yeah, he's going to be missing some time. And this compounds the problem that they already had, because they're already missing one of their top receivers in Puka. Puka is out. Now he's out. So that's the big one right there. So you're thinking about this Rams team. Who's their top target? Is it Tutu Atwell? Is Tutu Atwell really their best receiver? Like, it's arguable. By the way, Cooper Kupp was just the head of the spear. We also had some other injuries in that Cardinals game. Jonah Jackson, one of their starting guards, re-aggravated his shoulder injury, may go on injured reserve. John Johnson, their top safety and one of their better players on defense, is also a candidate for IR. Their kicker is probably going to be fine. He probably won't miss any time, but he is hurt, technically, if you want to speak about that. So an offensive line that was already a complete mash unit just got a little mashier. A defense that was already short on star power in the absence of guys like Aaron Donald just got a little bit weaker. Like, this just keeps piling up, and we're only 2 games into the season. I don't know if there's another team out there that is hurting from injuries more than these LA Rams. And this is a team that, before the season started, most people probably would have imagined as a playoff team, a wild card team. They made the wild card last year. Feels like they got better in the offseason, but not now. Not with all this. So, to recap, on top of everything we just talked about in this video, which is Kupp and Puka, Jonah Jackson, John Johnson, and I guess whatever's going on with Cardi, their kicker, which doesn't seem like a big deal. So you go to the ESPN injury page, you've got everything I just talked about. Steve Avila went on IR last week, so he's going to be out at least 3 more games. Joe Noteboom went on injured reserve and is going to be out at least 3 more games. Darius Williams has been on IR since the season started. He would probably be a significant part of that defense if he was out there. Murchison, I don't know if he's a big part of what that defense is doing, but he'd be playing if he wasn't on injured reserve. He'll be back in a couple games, maybe. And Tyler Higbee's on IR. He's been on IR the whole way. Darion Kendrick is on IR. He was placed on IR a while ago, granted. We've known that for a bit. But this team is absolutely decimated right now, particularly on that offensive line. Jonah Jackson, Steve Avila, Note Boom. They're finally getting Alaric Jackson back, I think, this week because he was suspended. They got Havenstein back from an injury this week. Not that it really helped him. So, couple pieces coming back, but most of that offensive line is now backups. And you saw it on Sunday. Stafford cannot survive this. Stafford's not going to be able to take this beating. So, this Rams team, 2 weeks in, it might already be a little bit of a wrap here. This is going to be almost impossible for them to overcome. So, that's what's going on with the Rams right now. We're 2 games in. They're 0-2. They're 0-1 in the division. That's all bad enough. Believe me, that's terrible. But they don't have receivers now. They don't have a tight end for the moment, and they won't for at least another couple more games. They don't have much of an offensive line. By the way, Alaric Jackson, he's coming back, I believe, this week, but he's not that good. He's okay. Like, he's passable, barely. They were far more dependent on their other offensive linemen on this team being really good for them, and it's hard to be really good when you can't play. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Is this the end? And it's not just this season, right? Because the Rams could be done for this season, and that's kind of like whatever. There are teams that have their season wrecked because of injuries all the time. Like, that happens to several teams a year. Is this the end of the era for the Rams? I think that's an interesting question. Is this the end of this era of Rams football around Sean McVay and Matt Stafford? Because Matt Stafford, if he plays a decent amount this season, is going to get the crap kicked out of him, right? He's going to get destroyed trying to play behind this offensive line with no receivers to throw to. So by the end of this year, he's probably really going to be thinking about retirement, and I imagine that he will retire because he's already been beat up over the last couple years. He missed most of the season 2 years ago. He missed a little bit of time last year. I gotta believe that this is the end for Stafford. And if you're McVay, who already had 1 foot out the door not that long ago and almost left 2 years ago, and we know he at least thought about it, and you've got that easy, high-paying Amazon job waiting for you, and you're thinking about a team that now needs to rebuild around, you need to find your quarterback, you need to find another quarterback. You might get a really high pick to find one, but who knows if you like any of the quarterbacks in this class. And you're probably going to need to rebuild this offensive line because it's been so beat up now. Guys like Note Boom can't really stay healthy. Cooper Kupp might just kind of be, it might be a kind of a wrap with him. He can't stay healthy in general either. Defense needs to be rebuilt in the absence of Aaron Donald, who's only one of the greatest defensive players in NFL history. I mean, what if McVay is just like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with a rebuild. I'm going to go work for Amazon for a couple years. And I'll come back into the league when a team like the Cowboys or the Jets or somebody like that wants to offer up a monster contract for a savior coach. So this series of events might be the end of the LA Rams as we know them. And I'll be pretty happy for it because having to deal with McVay twice a year was not fun. Having to deal with this Rams team in general was not that fun. It's maybe almost over. So that's all the stuff with the Rams, but real quick, I do want to talk a little bit about the Niners because we got a little bit of news about the Niners injury situation as well on Schefter's account a couple hours ago. And this is pretty big too because Deebo Samuel was off to a pretty decent start this year. He was playing some pretty good football, strained his calf Sunday in that loss against the Vikings, and is expected to miss a couple weeks. So the Niners have already lost a very surprising game. I'm sure they did not expect to lose that game. And now they've lost the guy who is currently their best receiver. And don't get it twisted. Brandon Ayuk at this point in his career, I think, is a much better player than Deebo. And I think that Ayuk will settle into things as he gets his sea legs under him. Right now, Ayuk is just coming back from a holdout. He wasn't working with the team this offseason. He wasn't working with Purdy this offseason. Right now, things are a little bit messed up there. So I'm sure that will be fine. I'm not saying anything about Ayuk. I still think he's a really good receiver. But Deebo was playing really well through 2 games. And this is significant. And the Niners have already lost 1 surprise game. You got to ask yourself, is there another surprise game that they're going to lose these next couple weeks? Losing a guy like Deebo, that's I mean, remember, they're already without McCaffrey for at least the next 3 games. And they've already indicated it's going to be more. It sounds like McCaffrey's going to miss half the season. So are both of our division rivals in the process of opening up the season from hell? Are they both in the process of just having that year where nothing goes right, people can't stay healthy, and the players that you do have left just get pulled apart? Kind of starting to feel that way, right? What do you guys think? What do you guys make of it? Who's getting out of this one? Who's surviving the injury flood? All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. There will be a video in a couple hours. I usually don't post that late, but I will be tonight. Got to get those PFF numbers out there. Got to go get that PFF video out there. See you guys later. Go Hawks. And yeah, it's not good for these 2 teams right now. The Rams and the Niners. Life is not good.